Hey guys, and welcome back. My name is Miss Danielson, and today we're going through a lesson on factorizing three-term quadratics. I hope you joined us for our introductory lesson to quadratics, where we talked about the differences between linear and quadratic expressions, and the reason why we need to be able to factorize quadratics, because they don't solve the same way linear equations do. Quadratics are easily one of the biggest topics at the higher GCSE level. So if you have not joined us for our introductory lesson, or you find yourself lost at any time, please let me know. Leave a comment down in the comment section so that I can try and help you clear up any doubts. Let's get started. This is where we finished off last lesson, where we had factorized this three-term quadratic into the format where it's a bracket multiplied by another bracket. If you need to check out last lesson to understand how we did that, please do. Otherwise, let's go on to another example. And be careful because look at what's different about this one. Starting with my x and my x in both brackets, think about our two numbers. They need to multiply to make c, and in this case, c is negative 15. The sign is included. And add to make b, and in this case, the b is positive 14. So again, start with your factors, not with the numbers that add to make 14, the numbers that multiply to make negative 15. Again, attention to the signs. If they multiply to make a negative, one of those numbers is positive and the other is negative, right? So let's start listing them. To make negative 15, I could do 15 divided by 1, and that's negative 15. Negative 15 divided by negative 1 and positive 15, right? I got to do both ways around. Or I could do negative 15 divided by 3, and that's negative 5. Or I could do negative 15 divided by negative 3, and that's positive 5. And those are all of my pairs and all of my combinations of signs. So next, do any of those pairs add up to make b? Do any of those pairs add up to make positive 14? Let me give you a hint here. If you want them to add to make a positive number, you want the bigger of the numbers to be the positive one. 1 minus 15 is not going to make positive 14. 3 minus 5 is not going to make positive 14. So I'm looking at where I'm making the bigger number, the positive number, and I think I've got my pair here. Negative 1 plus 15 makes positive 14. Okay, so those are my numbers. I can go ahead and put those into my brackets. I put plus 15 here and then minus 1. I could just as easily put minus 1 and plus 15. So either one is fine, but I'm going to double check by multiplying that out, make sure I've got the right signs, make sure I've got the right numbers. X times x makes x squared. X times minus 1 makes minus 1x. 15 times x makes plus 15x. And 15 times minus 1 makes minus 15. Again, it doesn't quite match because I haven't simplified yet. If I group the middle two terms, minus 1x plus 15x, that does make the 14x. Right, let's try another one. Again, pay attention to the signs. This time, I'm trying to find two numbers that multiply to make 15. This is positive 15 this time. And add to make negative 8. The sign is part of it. Adds to make negative 8. Okay? So I want to pay attention to the signs, and I'm trying to find two numbers that multiply to make a positive. That means those two numbers must have the same sign. A positive times a positive makes a positive, but also a negative times a negative also makes a positive. Right? A positive and a negative, that would make a negative. So that's not what we want. We want the same signs. So let's start looking at our pairs here. It could be 1 times 15 makes 15, or 3 times 5 makes 15. Or it could be negative 1 times negative 15 makes 15, or negative 3 times negative 5 also makes positive 15. But if I'm thinking which pairs add up to make b, they add up to make negative 8. What kinds of numbers add to make a negative? Could two positive numbers possibly add to make a negative? No. If b is negative, and I'm looking at two numbers with the same sign here, both of those numbers have got to be negative. So let's forget about those ones there. I'm not even consider writing those down in the future. I'm going to look at the signs first. And I'm looking at two numbers, they've got the same sign, and both of those signs are negative. It's either negative 1 minus 15, that's going to be negative 16, that's not going to work, or negative 3 and negative 5, that makes negative 8. So I've got my pair, I'll put those in my brackets, either negative 5 and negative 3, or negative 3 and negative 5, and I'm just going to do my quick mental check. If I do x times x, it's x squared. x times minus 3 is minus 3x. Minus 5 times x is minus 5x. And minus 5 times minus 3 is positive 15. Looks good for my last term. And the middle term, negative 3 and negative 5 makes negative 8. So that's negative 8x. It works. Last one here. Again, we're playing with these signs again. That's the hardest bit. Looking for two numbers here, and they need to multiply to make negative 12 and add to make positive 4. Multiply to make negative 12. If they multiply to make a negative, the signs have got to be opposite, so one positive and one negative. Start by listing my pairs. Negative 12 divided by 1 is negative 12. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. And then I could also go the other way around. Negative 12 divided by negative 1 is positive 12. Negative 12 divided by negative 2 is positive 6. And negative 12 divided by negative 3 is 4. But thinking about the pair that adds up to make positive 4. We've been over this before. If you have a positive number and a negative number and they need to add to make a positive, we want the bigger number to be positive, right? So let's forget about these pairs here. Because 1 minus 12, that bigger number being negative is going to take me into the negatives. It's not going to give me an answer of positive 4. So I've gotten rid of all of the pairs where the bigger number is negative, and I'm just looking at the pairs where the bigger numbers is positive. So 12 minus 1 is 11, not 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. That's the one. Okay, so I've got my answer. And if you want to just double check, there's only one correct pair. This last pair, 4 minus 3, that would give me 1. So that's not the pair we're looking for. So my numbers are negative 2 and 6. I'll put them into my brackets. I put plus 6 and minus 2. But I could just as easily put minus 2 and plus 6. And I'm just going to check. X times x would make x squared. X times minus 2 would make minus 2x. 6 times x would make 6x. And 6 times minus 2 makes minus 12. The minus 2x and the 6x, they would add together and make positive 4x. And it's important that you check to make sure, especially when we got these positive and negative signs that we could have wrong. Okay, so that all works out. That's the way we need to do it. So here are some examples for you to go through for yourself. You may want to hit pause because in a minute the answers are going to come up. But do it for yourself. Go ahead and set up the brackets in each case and look at all of these cases. They're all cases where a is equal to 1. So the number in front of the x squared is 1, or there is no number in front of the x squared. So that means for each of these factorized expressions, you're going to have a set of brackets with x in it, another set of brackets with x in it, and you just have to figure out your numbers. Also pay attention to the signs here. In this first row, everything's positive. In this next row, the last term is positive. What kinds of numbers multiply to make a positive? And the middle number is negative. The next row, the last term is negative. Think about what kinds of numbers multiply to make a negative, but the middle number is positive. And in the final row, the last number is negative, and the middle number is negative. So this time I'm setting out nice and easy for you because I'm organizing you and telling you what to look out for. When it's all mixed up, you really need to think carefully about those signs. So go ahead and give that a try. Put this on pause because the answers are coming up right now. You didn't pause. Now. So how did you do? I hope that went okay. If you've got your brackets in the opposite order, so for A you have x plus 2 and then x plus 1, that's fine as long as you have the right numbers with the correct plus or minus sign. Please let me know if you had any problems there. Leave a comment in the comment section down below and I'll try and help you clear up your doubts. Otherwise, watch out for our next video where we'll be factorizing two-term quadratics. Two terms does not necessarily make it easier, so do watch out for that lesson. Till then, keep practicing and I'll see you soon.